Hello and welcome back. So this video is a continuation on animal tissues, and in this one we will focus on nerves. So let me shrink down and we shall continue with the lesson. The learning outcomes for this video are the same, just that we will be focusing on this part, which is the nerve cell. And here we are on the mind map, and we're going into this segment. So let's go into part 2, nerves. Nerves, or we can call them neurons, can be divided into 3 main types, as you can see from this diagram here. So the first type of neuron that you can see here is sensory neuron. Sensory neurons, their function is to receive impulses from sensory receptors and transfer them to the central nervous system. So CNS here stands for central nervous system. So what these would do is, for example, you have touch receptors under your skin. So when something touches your skin, it activates your receptors, and your receptors take that information, conveys the information to your sensory neuron, and your sensory neuron will take that information and pass it to your central nervous system. Your central nervous system is nerves that are in your brain and also in your spinal cord. Jadi bila kita cakap central nervous system, itu adalah nerve-nerve yang ada dalam otak dengan akar tunjang kamu. Okay, so moving on to the second type of neurons. The second type of neuron we're talking about here is the motor neuron. So the function of motor neuron is to receive nerve impulses from the central nervous system and then transfer them to your muscles or your glands. So, say for example, the brain wants you to do a certain movement. So, the motor neuron will tell your muscles in your arms to move. And the third type of nerve cell or neuron is interneuron. So, these are the types of neurons that you can find in your brain and in your spinal cord. So, dialah yang duduk dalam central nervous system. These will convey nerve impulses from one neuron to another. So let's now look at the structure of a nerve cell. Okay, so as you can see from this diagram here, there are quite a few things that we can label and identify. First things first is the cell body. It is the main part of the nerve cell that will contain the nucleus and many organelles, such as mitochondria in the cytoplasm. Dalam arti kata lain, dialah badan kepada nerve cell itu. The second is dendrites. So these are also considered the starting point of your nerve cells. The dendrites will receive signals from other neurons and then transmit these nerve impulse towards the cell body. So from this part, it will receive the impulse and then pass it to this part, the cell body. The third structure that we'll look at in here is the axon, also called the nerve fiber. These will conduct nerve impulses away from the cell body. And they are covered by myelin sheath, which is a type of material formed by another type of cell called Schwann cells. So kamu boleh tengok dalam diagram ni, axon dia mula dari sini sampai sini. Nerve impulse akan dibawa dari sini turun ke bawah sini. So the blue part is the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath will act as an electrical insulator and speeds up the impulse transmission. So they are there to insulate and speed up nerve transmission. Impulse transmission. Okay, and the next structure we're looking at is the node of Ranvier. So you can see here the myelin sheath is not continuous. It will leave gaps in between them. Okay, kamu ada nampak ada ruang kosong antara myelin sheath pertama, kedua, antara kedua dan ketiga, antara ketiga, keempat, keempat, kelima. This is the part of the axon that is not covered by myelin sheath. The function of the node of Ranvier is to speed up the impulse transmission. And last but not least, we have the synaptic knob ataupun penghujung kepada nerve cell kamu. The synaptic knob will contain synaptic vesicles that fill up with neurotransmitters or chemical messengers for impulse transmission. In the next semester, you'll learn in detail about how transmission occurs across the synapse. And then you will see the synaptic knob again next semester. Sekarang kita cakap saja dia di sini dan ini fungsi dia. Okay, moving on. Let us try to draw a motor neuron and then label the parts in the motor neuron. Okay, come with me now. First, we'll start with the cell body. We draw it like a spiky thing like this. We're going to draw the axon and also the synaptic knobs. Okay, I'll draw that part again. We'll draw the axon and then the synaptic knob. Then we'll draw the nucleus. And I'm going to draw in the dendrites to make it look nicer. Last but not least, I am drawing the myelin sheath along the axon. Last but not least, we will do some labeling. So nucleus, cell body, myelin sheath, node of Ranvier, labeling the axon, labeling the dendrites, and last, synaptic knob. Okay, next. This is not really in your syllabus, but I would like to draw it with you just to show you what it's like for the structure of the interneuron. So ini tidak payah hafal, setakat kamu tengok dan cuba paham saja. Okay, so the interneuron looks pretty much like this. It has a big cell body. We're drawing in the nucleus. We're drawing the very short axon and the many synaptic knobs. And we are drawing in the rest of the dendrites. And then I'm going to label cell body, nucleus, axon, dendrite, and synaptic knob. That's it for interneuron. Last but not least, it is the sensory neuron. Hold on, I'm going to fix the animation. Okay, we're back. All right, sorry about that. Okay, now we're going to draw the sensory neuron, which has the strangest shape of the 3 neurons. Okay, we're going to start with the cell body, which looks pretty round like this. We'll draw in the nucleus. We're going to draw the dendrite, which is quite long. We're going to draw the axon with its synaptic knobs. And then we're drawing in the myelin sheath. Now we're going to label this diagram. This is the cell body. This is the nucleus. This part is the very long dendrite. This part is the axon. These are the synaptic terminals, the myelin sheath, node of Ranvier, and that's it. Those are the labels and how it looks on a sensory neuron. Okay, we're moving on to the function and the distribution of nerve cells. So the function of nerve cells, as you may have guessed, is to transmit nerve impulses from the central nervous system to the muscles and the glands. It is found in the central nervous system, and the axon will extend to the muscle fibers and the glands. This is focusing on motor neurons. Okay, dalam syllabus kamu kita fokus kepada motor neuron, dan function dengan distribution yang kamu nampak di sini adalah function dan distribution untuk motor neuron. Alright, so just a very quick summary. In this subtopic, we talk about neurons, sensory, interneuron, motor neuron, and also their the structure, function, and distribution. So that is all for this part of the chapter, and you can make your own notes on animal tissues, nerve cells, and I really want you to remember how to answer if people ask you what is the function of myelin sheath and what is the function of node of Ranvier. And we'll go over this again in our next tutorial. So that's about it. Thank you and happy learning. Bye.